All right, folks, this is Scott with the Game Audio Institute, and we are once again delving into our scripting world, the world of scripting in Unity, audio scripting in Unity. So, actually, sometimes I get questions from students and other people who write our Discord, which you can join if you want to do that. This one is related to our breakout game lesson, which you can actually obtain if you sign up for our Patreon at the $6 or more level. But anyway, the deal is that what they wanted to do was basically make it so that there was more variance in the sounds of the exploding bricks, basically. So the idea ends up being that we can use some of the techniques that we have actually been covering up till now to do just those kinds of things. And I might even show you a couple of snazzy tricks or a snazzy trick or two that will do similar stuff, but in a different kind of way. Anyway, so let's get started and take a look. All right. So right now we have a single block explode sound. Now what I've done basically in the audio control is in the game situation, I'm going to mute my music and we're going to mute the bumpers. We already did that. Okay, so and the only thing we're going to hear is the block exploding. And right now there's a single sound effect for the block explode. Now what we're going to do is something different with this. So right now we play the game and very loud, of course. There it is. But basically, this is what we got going on. I'll bring it down a little bit so it's not quite so ear splitting. Anyway, so the deal is that we're going to basically give it more variations. But more importantly, what we're going to do in this case. And we've done this already with footsteps. We had footstep variations. We had, sound triggering variations. So if you go check out the scripting shorts, you can find out how we do those kinds of things to some extent. Okay. But we are going to do a situation in which basically we're going to replace our block explode with something slightly more musical and sort more interesting, essentially. And over here in the assets folder, I just basically have a few little tones that I have um, basically made in Logic, So just simple little things. And what they're doing is they're based on the actual key center of the music that I have in my game, which is this breakout music clip, which is here. It's going to be a little bit loud here, but this one here. And this is in G Mixolydian. So basically, what I did was I recorded individual tones, and we're going to put them like this. And we're going to basically play them both sequentially. We'll work out a way of being able to play them sequentially, as well as also being able to play them randomly. Okay, so let's go check a look and see how we're going to do that inside the scripting thing. So in the script, right now, we have a single variable of a block explode. So what we want to do is we want to turn that into a list. And a list is called an array inside Unity. And so what happens is in order to be able to declare an array, we just basically use those square brackets. So we go here and there. So basically that's the deal. We've now declared a list of clips called block explode. So now what that means then is that the other statements that pertain to playing the thing, and of course this is all the different sort of voids that are basically triggered by the game, you can see this one here says block explode, explode source, play one shot, block explode. This is supposed to be a single audio clip. Well, it is no longer a single audio clip. It is a list of audio clips. So we need to do something with this. So we need to basically do something. And what we're going to do in this particular case is we're going to actually count through. We're going to have a list of audio clips that we're going to basically put. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do something with it. But right now, the code's not really going to work unless we give it a simple sort of thing like this to play, like, say, the first one in the line. And remember, always first digital, first is 0. 0 is a number in digital world, okay? All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and at least this way, it's going to be legal. And then we can basically go back over here to our Unity and wait for it to compile a little bit here, make sure it doesn't have any errors. Looks like it's fine. And then what we happen to do is we're going to just basically go back over here to our audio control object. And we are going to say, look at this, our block explode is now a list. So now what we're going to do is just take our little tones and put them in there. I'm going to put them in there just exactly in order of what we have. So we're going to basically say block explode, G2, and then it's D3, and then it's a G3, and then it's A4, B4, C4, and F4. I believe that's what we've got, all of them. Oh, wait, no, I think we have D4. So that's right, we have D4 before that. D4, and then we have F4. Okay, so now that we have those tones, they're all ready to go. Now we can go to the script and sort of figure out what we're going to do. So what we're going to do initially is play through them sequentially. That's what we're going to do. We're going to basically figure out a way of playing through them sequentially. And probably one of the easiest ways to do that is just sort of define an integer, essentially. So we do need to define an integer. So we'll just call this public int. We don't necessarily have to call it public if we don't want to, but this is just good for practice, you know. So we'll call it public int. I'll say block count. And that will be that. And then we will increase block count by going and playing this here. And all we have to do in this case is actually, we'll play it there at 0, but we want to increase the block count. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do a couple things. First of all, we're going to actually play this as block count, not just 0, because of course that'll just simply play the first one, and you'll just have repeated notes all the time. So you can say block count, okay? And then the next one we're going to do here is we're going to actually increase the count of the block. So we're going to say block count plus plus. So what's going to happen? Well, we'll go through the list probably one time, and then once it hits enough that we had there, by the way, yeah, take a look over here, over right there. So there it goes, right there. So explode source, play one shot, block explode, block count, and then block count is increased. So the thing is that we'll be able to do this until we get to the end of the list, and then those numbers will keep going up, and we can't do that. You know, we'll have to figure out a way of resetting the value. So in this particular case, what we could say, we could give a very obvious kind of logical method, which just uses an if statement, and this is easier to understand as far as just visually speaking. So what we can do in this case is say, if, let's see, block count, and our block count basically is equal to, we're going to basically say if our block count is now equal to, remember that's double equals, go double equals, and then we want to say block count is equal to the block explode.length, because block explode is now a list, and it has a property called length. Now, remember that length is a little bit weird, because so you say if you have 5 items in the list, okay, it's a length of 5. But remember that the counting of the numbers starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means that if we get to item number 5, in other words, the digital 5, right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are actually on a 6th item of our list. We don't have 6 items in our list. We have 5. Therefore, it would fail. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to basically check to make sure that this is going to be, if it exceeds the actual number that it has in the list, it's going to basically reset the block count back to 0. So this is one way to do it, basically. Block count equals 0. And this will work perfectly fine, or should work perfectly fine overall. We're just going to listen to the tones themselves for now, but I'll show you another kind of nifty way to do this in just a little bit after we test this out. Okay, so we're going to let it compile, do its thing, and then we're going to go play it. Okay, so that works pretty well. So let me show you kind of a nifty thing. I'm going to go back over to our block explode And I'm going to do something that you've probably not seen too much inside code. And what we're going to use something called modulo, which is a little bit weird, but it means that we can basically make it happen pretty much entirely in one line if we want to. So in this case, what we're going to do is this, and we're going to use blockexplode.length, but we're going to have something else. We're going to say int limit is set to, not equals. That's what equals here. This means it is, we're setting this value. Int limit equals, let's see, here we go. It would be block count. And then it would be modulo blockexplode.length. And we don't need anything else there. That's it. So what that means, it's a little bit weird, but basically means what it can do is it can automatically set a limit for the amount of counts that are coming in. So for example, if I say modulo 5, then what it's going to do is it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's going to basically reset back to 0 because that's the limit that we have set for our length. So in that particular case, what ends up happening is it will never like fail. You don't have like a separate thing that'll, again, it's a little bit harder to understand from the terms of the logic, but it's an automatic limit that gets applied to whatever's happening. So it's like no matter how many, times we increase block count will always be divided basically by 5, and then the remainder is the number, essentially. That's the idea. And then, of course, it's being done as integers, so you don't get fractional numbers or decimal numbers or anything like that. Okay, so this can work just as easily. Same exact principle. So we'll go back here, check it out. And after this, we'll do a little bit of randomness, and that will close it out. Oop, it went out. Why did it go out? Let me think. I found out my error. Okay, so the deal in this particular case was I set it to block count. So of course, block count keeps increasing. We don't want to do that. We want to do it as limit. So that was my problem. We have to set this. Value here to limit so that it's obviously limited because I wasn't doing that. I set it to block count. So here we go. Once again. And all right, so that's basically the idea there, okay? So that's how that basically works, and it's perfectly fine. And of course, we can also play that back with the music a little bit. I'm going to probably pull the music volume down pretty far so we don't have to hear too loudly. Oh, sorry, I muted it. So let's unmute and go back. And once again, okay, anyway, so you get the idea, right? Okay, so now let us go and do one other way of doing it. And this is just going to be the random way. And we've covered this a lot, so this is pretty easy. But we're just going to basically set things instead of limit block count, blockexplode.length, we're going to say int random. We could use the word limit if we wanted to, but we're going to not do that. We're going to instead say random equals random dot range, and then we go 0 to blockexplode.length, and then over here we just simply type random. And of course this is sort of pseudo random. It's not really totally random, and we don't even need the block count anymore, and we don't really even need the block count over here anymore, but that gives us pretty well there. So now I'm going to save that, and we'll go back and do it again. You'll hear it randomly play. sounds instead of sequentially. Come on. There you go. Anyway, so you get the idea, right? Okay, so that's cool. So basically what happens is that, if you wanted to, you can also make inside the game situation, you can make each one of these, bumpers and of course the paddle have a musical sound. And so the whole thing could have, many kinds of different musical tones happening inside the game, all you want. That's basically it for this one, and we're gonna go back and deal with some other things later. I might show you another little quickie bits on some triggers, so stay tuned for some of that. And basically, that's it. If you're interested in asking us for any kind of advice or something like that, please put a comment down below. We're here to help, basically. So obviously, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know what anything else. If you want to back us on Patreon, please go ahead at $6. You'll get the Breakout game absolutely free. Plus, we already have the implementation video available in the public channel. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, I hope this helps you get your game audio on, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.